I think the main thing obviously is our experience, with the kind of guys. I have three of my top we call them account managers. They're in their 70s, and one of them has been doing this for almost 50 years. And so the level of experience, because it's just not selling a widget off of a shelf and you drive away with it. There's construction involved, and there's expertise and details, and make sure you use the right products. That helps with the kind of experience and the crews we have and the subcontractors.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, this is Max Pittman from WriteForMe, and you're listening to another episode of the Business Ninjas podcast. We're going to meet the experts who are making things happen and scaling their businesses. And today we're talking about SportsWest Construction with Mr. Dale Hendrickson, who is the owner at SportsWest. Dale, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good to be with you, Max.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to share your story. And, I'm excited to dive into SportsWest. And you guys are obviously in the sports construction and sports surfacing space. And the company has been around since 1987. So I'm really excited to dive into what's going on there. But before we jump into the organization itself and what you guys are focused on, our community is built of entrepreneurs like yourself, lots of sales and marketing leaders, and also other executives. So as the owner at SportsWest Construction, I'd love it if you can tell our community a little bit about yourself and some of the things you're focused on.
Well, I grew up loving sports. I played every sport growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, like still play. This morning I played 3 sets of tennis and 4 sets of pickleball. And I've always loved building stuff. And so I got a degree in construction engineering from Brigham Young University. And within a few years after that, I wanted to start my own business and happened to run into a company called Sport Court based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And they didn't have any representation on the East Coast, and my wife, who's an attorney, had a job offer with a big law firm in Washington, D.C. area. So I opened up the first, what they call a Sport Court dealership in the Washington, D.C. area. I formed my own business, SportsWest Construction, in that year, 1987. And even though Sport Court is our main product line and brand, we represent all sorts of different types of components and surfacing when it comes to the sports construction world. So we do indoor and outdoor, residential, commercial, anywhere from sticking a basketball hoop in your driveway to building a big sports complex, including several courts and gyms. So all across the board, anywhere from $3,000 or $4,000 to $1.5 to $2 million in size of projects. Right now, our main office is in the Los Angeles area. We have a subsidiary office in Salt Lake City and one in Boise, Idaho. So we cover basically 5 states. I have about 65 employees, 24 account managers, and 3 showrooms. So it's been a real fun ride. You never really know what to expect in the beginning, but after 36 years, I'm pretty pleased. And what they say, if you do something you have a lot of passion for, are you really working? So I really haven't had a job in 36 years.
I love it. Yes, I love that. That's great, right? Mixing up kind of your passions with, your educational perspective and also your personal perspective, and molding that into a business that you've been growing and scaling for the last 30 plus years is really incredible. And I'm very familiar with the Sports Court brand for sure. It's I grew up playing sports and still do, still try to, at least. And I'll tell you what, I've always wanted my own sports court, but I haven't lived in a place where I have enough room to build something like that. So I'm stuck with the hoop on the garage kind of vibe.
I remember when I first ran into them, I said, so you're trying to tell me you can build a court in someone's backyard that's about 1/4 to 1/3 the size of a tennis court and play a dozen different sports and games? I'm in. And so, I was well-rounded. I played all sorts of different types of sports, and it made sense to me. And then with the evolution of the availability of facilities for people to access, it just made so much sense to have something in your backyard. It made sense for families, because here you have a sports facility in your backyard where you can look out your back window and see what your kids are doing, what they're doing with their friends. and they're not in someone else's backyard where you don't know what they're doing.
Mhm.
And I always tell them your biggest problem, at least from a residential standpoint, is keeping your refrigerator stocked with Gatorade with all the kids that hang out. It'll be the hangout house, right?
Yeah.
We had an article written about our company a few years back, and the interview asked, what is your main purpose? What's your goal? What's your mission? And I said, well, yeah, kind of on the residential side, it's to get kids off their backsides and into their backyards. And that kind of stuck. And so another moniker that we like to use is we build backyard memories. And to hear the stories I hear from families over the years, we've built over 15,000 courts. And the bulk of those obviously in people's backyards. And the stories I hear about, I come home from work, my husband comes home from work early now to play with my kids. And whenever there's an entertainment, the focus seems to be our backyard court because there's always something to do. And, it kind of evolved with basketball, and basketball's still king. But with the advent of pickleball now, it's just taken over the country. And so those two sports seem to be the ones that people are playing the most now.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. That's where the memories are made. I mean, I have so many great memories of, like, for me, it's like, yeah, basketball is one in the driveway for sure. But also, like, when I think about sports courts, like in kind of the backyard setups, is like just playing catch and stuff with my brother and my dad. I was a pitcher. We had this rudimentary like little hill that I would stand on and throw balls to my brother who was a catcher. Those are definitely where all the memories are made. So
Yeah, there's always something. In fact, every Monday night we have a thing at my family called family night, and they always want to play badminton. I have 3 boys, and then by the time they were of dating age, we would bring in, okay, if you got a girlfriend or you date somebody, bring them in. Let's see if she can hit that shuttlecock. And if they can't hit the shuttlecock or having trouble, they're out. We can't have any non-sports people in our family. And so that's been a real fun joke in our family.
That's fun.
The badminton aspect.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's talk about SportsWest Construction, right? What would set you, apart from other companies, in terms of maybe like the services and products you offer in the space?
Well, I think the main thing obviously is our experience, with the kind of guy. I have three of my top we call them account managers. They're in their 70s, and one of them has been doing this for almost 50 years. And so the level of experience, because it's just not selling a widget off of a shelf and you drive away with it. There's construction involved, and there's expertise and details, and make sure you use the right products. That helps with the kind of experience and the crews we have and the subcontractors. But another thing is the products that we're using. As I mentioned, we represent our main brand is Sport Court, and Sport Court is owned by a company called Floor out of France. And their 3 main sports products are vinyl, modular like Sport Court, and hardwood. And those other 2 brands are TerraFlex and Connor, which in that industry for vinyl flooring, modular flooring, and hardwood, we represent the 3 best and highest performing products in those trades. And so those 3 opened up a lot of doors for us. The Connor side, that's the hardwood you see every time you see March Madness. Since 2006, we're the official floor of NC2A basketball. On the Sport Court side, the gymnasium side, the modular surface has been the official surface of NC2A volleyball, USA volleyball, and our national team since 1993. Sport Court also has an outdoor product called Power Game Plus, which is the official surface of FIBA, F-I-B-A, the governing body of international basketball. And when you see 3x3 in the Olympics in Paris next summer and in LA in 2028, they're going to be playing on that Sport Court product, 3x3. In fact, the new team that just came out is the BYU alum, Jimmer Fredette. And you guys might remember Rick Barry, the old NBA star who had that underhand free throw. His son, Canyon Barry, is on the team. And they just finished second in the World Games. And so those kind of accolades. And then you take the TerraFlex product, which is a vinyl gym flooring. That's been the official flooring of 4 different venues of the Olympics since Montreal, 1972. And they play volleyball, team handball, fencing, and I think also table tennis. So these 3 brands are major impacts in the world when it comes to quality sports products. And we're happy to say that we represent those products exclusively. And it's been a great relationship. It's opened up doors for us in a lot of different venues, in park and rec facilities, pay for play facilities. Foundations are using us for donations to parks and recs and inner cities facilities. And we've got a great relationship with a lot of different foundations. Now the new Mambasita Foundation in LA, we've done several projects with Kobe's widow and his foundation. It's opened up a lot of doors for us. We've done some things with the Laker Foundation, the Clipper Foundation. It's given us a lot of really good opportunities to put some quality products down.
Wow, yeah, it's really impressive. Like, so it sounds like, the team's experience and also the partnerships that you set up has led to, their growth and expansion, both with residential, with commercial, and even with, organizations like the Olympics, as well. So that's really incredible. What would you say, Dale, I guess, like, how are you guys like staying up to date with, latest trends, innovations, in the sports industry to make sure you're providing customers like those most cutting edge products?
Well, that's a great question. And obviously you're going to hear from the customers, number one, but I've been very fortunate. I've been asked to be on the board of directors of an organization called American Sports Builders Association. That's been around a long time. It used to be called the U.S. Tennis and Track Association, but they oversee all the turf industry, the sports turf industry, the indoor flooring industry, the outdoor court industry, and also the track industry. And that relationship has opened up many doors for us to stay in tune with all the current products, because there's a national trade show that's held. It's called a technical meeting every December. We attend that. We see all the new products. Everybody seems to want to get a hold of us to represent their products. We take a pretty good angle of reviewing all the different things that are available to us. So we offer the best and the most efficient and the most cost-effective, products to our industry base. And you asked it earlier about, how do you really get started? I think in any business, in any industry, it's all about relationships. And because you might, build one project for one client, but if you're doing something with a custom home builder or an architect or designer, and for some reason we make them look good, they remember you. And it's kind of a residual, right? They might have, one product that you do something good, but they're always looking at future products, future relationships there, and they want to offer the best to their client. And if SportsWest Construction has a good reputation with that particular client, architect, designer, or a builder, then they're going to remember you in the future, because we try to be as efficient as possible and not be a real pain and cause issues, and if there are issues, we resolve them sometimes before it even gets to the builder. And so that reputation is really important to us, to make sure that we respond quickly. And I've always told all my guys, I said, people would rather have bad news than no news. So please keep them current, communicate, and communication is very important. So those relationships are critical over time, and they'll only help you.
Yes, it sounds like a little bit of obviously relationship building, letting your work like speak for itself for sure. Your own kind of customer experience that you're providing to the, to either the builders or the individuals. Kind of sounds like, that, along with like how you guys are staying up to date with, the latest innovations in the fields or the turf or the courts that people are using are, really kind of what sets you guys apart. And maybe it's part of like all the secret sauce that you guys have to offer.
But it's kind of, we're unique, right? I mean, what business out there could do indoor and outdoor sports surfacing and construction, residential and commercial? Plus we're, the fad now obviously is pickleball. And when I was, as I mentioned, on this American Sports Builders Association board that I'm on, I was invited to be one of the contributing members to the new pickleball construction manual, and that has opened up doors for us as well. And we just completed a new courts and rec manual that's over 400 pages long, and I had the opportunity to contribute with that, and that has all the current information in it as well. I mean, we have everything from Quidditch to darts and cornhole, and you'd be surprised how many different types of sports there are out there. And we had to draw a line somewhere, and so we figured, well, okay, if you can hold a beer in one hand and play the sport, it's not a real sport. Well, it is, because you can do that in darts and cornhole, right? And then there's some interesting sports that are on the other side of the pond from Europe that we've never heard of, and they're becoming more and more popular in America. Pickleball obviously is going nuts right now. You can hear a new sport called padel, P-E-D-E-L. It's kind of a combination between tennis and racquetball, but there's more padel courts in Spain and Sweden than there are tennis courts. And so Europe is taking over with that sport, and you're going to see a lot more of that happening in America as well. And it's been really fun to be in the evolution of sports. And when roller hockey became king in the mid 90s, we were heavily involved in that. And then obviously racquetball was pretty popular in the 90s as well. And then you see sports come and go. Volleyball has really grown ever since the 90s, and Sport Court played a really big role in that to become the official surface of that sport basically in America. So it's been really fun to be on the front end of some of these things. And obviously with pickleball, I'm the consultant working with a large city to build the world's largest pickleball complex, and that's been a real fun journey as well. So we're always finding, there's always something, right? Always something.
Yeah, let's talk about that really quick, right? Like it sounds like that's obviously it's the most popular and growing sport here in the United States. Like, how are you looking to like kind of cater to that, audience of athletes? You talk a little bit about that project you have going on and how you're kind of trying to, reach, give as much opportunity for people who are interested to play the opportunity to play.
Yeah, well, I'm in the numbers business, right? And I understand numbers. And when you see that pickleball just 10 years ago had about 500,000 recreational players, right now they're a little under 9 million. And to have that kind of growth over the last 10 years is phenomenal. Right now there are 40,000 commercial pickleball courts or public courts where you can actually go play them like in a park. And there's almost 9 million recreational players. Well, that's 222 players per one public court that's available. Tennis enjoys about a 50-to-1 ratio. Well, right now, at the growth of pickleball, they're anticipating 40 million recreational players by the year 2030. If the industry could build 60,000 more courts, that ratio would be 400 recreational players per one public court. And I'm telling you right now, us builders can't even keep up with that. So there's something's going to happen in pickleball. And what we're seeing is more, if I can't find a court I can play in the public, I guess I have to build one in my backyard or do something in the street or at the homeowner association. So we're making those adjustments to keep up with the demand. And pickleball is nuts. It is absolutely nuts. And with that kind of growth, anticipated growth, you're going to see a lot of things opening up. I mean, tennis was really popular and still to this day from a fan viewership standpoint, where pickleball is not. It's not a real fun sport to watch, but it's a fun sport to play. So we've seen it more of a grassroots standpoint. But the tournaments now, 5 years ago, the total prize money was $30,000. Now it's $300,000. So we're starting to see it's going to get more TV coverage. You're going to start seeing it more in schools and high schools and colleges. There's actually a couple of collegiate leagues now at the club level. You haven't seen it at the NCAA level yet, but that's coming. And they're already talking about being an exhibition sport in the 2028 Olympics for pickleball. So it's a fun sport to play. It's easy to learn and it's very social. And those aspects come into play when you're actually designing a facility, because the average pickleball player is at the courts for 90 minutes or plays for 90 minutes, but they're there for 3 hours. What are they doing? They're having fun. They're yapping. So you're seeing designs that include, juice bars and, picnic areas and shade structures and, separation and grass areas. So it can be a lot more social. So it's pretty much what tennis was back in the 70s and 80s, but it's taking off anymore just because it's a lot easier to play and easier to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun too. Like, I think that's like what it's all about, right?
And the average age for a pickleball player 10 years ago was 51 years, and now it's 35.2. So you can see it, the youth are picking it up as well.
Yeah. It's
especially in college towns.
Yeah, it's funny to see like all my group chats be like, hey, who can pickle later? Versus and it's a lot easier, right? Just to get a couple people out there. There's a lot easier on your knees too, not as much running back and forth trying to chase the tennis ball. Playing doubles is a lot easier. So
well, and not to demean hockey players, what's the cost to outfit a hockey player? It's
100%.
$1,000, right?
Yeah.
You could spend $100 on a paddle that'll last you forever in the pickleball. So it's a real cheap, inexpensive sport to start too, and that's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it. Well, it's great to hear like how you guys are thinking about just the industry in general and some of the trends and developments that are happening in sports and recreation. As you guys are thinking about like this next year, right? Is there something that you want to like accomplish, or is there a goal that you're working towards as a company that you're looking to achieve?
Well, obviously, the customer tells you kind of what is hot and what's not. And right now, the most popular product we have on the residential side is what we call combination court, combination pickleball, basketball. And so you can take the net down and play a half court basketball game. And that's a real popular product. And the prices vary between, depending on size and which components you add to it, how big it is, because you can make it various sizes. So we're pretty much staying on top of that. And one of the things that we've discovered, especially in the last couple of years in the world of pickleball, is pickleball's basically always been played on a hard court, the acrylic paint you see on concrete or asphalt. But even the demand was to a point where in the manual that we wrote, we have a whole chapter on what we call resilient surfaces. Because if you could play for 90 minutes and enjoy it, but you have to stop because your body's all beat up, your shin splints, your knees, your lower back, whatever the case may be. If you had a resilient surface to play on, maybe you could play 3 or 4 hours. And so in the chapter we have, we talk about modular surfacing and acrylic cushion surfacing. And I've built several synthetic grass pickleball. It works. And on the East Coast, they're converting clay tennis courts to clay pickleball courts. And so we're seeing with the advent of adding additional surfaces, so people have choices, so they're just not playing on concrete. Concrete's the worst surface to play on. You're talking to somebody who has 2 artificial knees, because I grew up playing tennis on concrete. I tell people, build a house on it, park a car on it, but don't play sports on concrete. It's the worst thing you can do. So obviously we're looking at those kind of niches. There's always something in a component size. You can, now they're coming up with a new basketball backboard. It's actually a computer screen. And so you could use that to, play basketball and watch a game at the same time, or work on your game, or evaluate your skills and keep track of, different shots and stuff. So there's some really creative stuff that's going out there, especially from the digital technology standpoint.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like you can watch the game and shoot at the same time, or shoot with someone else, like do a competition with someone else wherever they are in the world. That's crazy. Yeah, it's super interesting. To kind of hear some of the product launches and initiatives that are happening in athletics, in sports too. So that's really funny. In your opinion, what's the most rewarding, I guess, aspect? I know we talked maybe at the beginning of the call, building memories, right? But you've been involved in the sports industry and running a company, for 30 years. So just love to hear what are some aspects you love, and what's some advice you might have to individuals listening?
Well, obviously I mentioned before about passion. If you have passion for anything, whether, let's say you're in the model trains, right? There's a pretty good chance America is set up that you can probably parlay your passion into some sort of profession. I was just very fortunate that, timing a lot is everything. And to be able to connect with the sport court people, have the availability of a area that was, primed for, pioneering, that was great. But I think if you follow your heart and let the customer direct it, and you ask the question, what is the most satisfying? When you're battling with sometimes a husband and wife, and the husband really wants it, the wife doesn't, and then you hear something a couple months later after they eventually get it, and to hear from the wife or the mom who says, I kind of was up against you in the beginning, but I want you to know it's the best investment we've ever made. My kids are on it constantly. It's the center of attention when we entertain. My kids are out getting vitamin D instead of sitting behind a computer. I'm meeting their friends, and in sports, some of life skills are developed playing sports, whether it be a team sport or individual sport. You're going to learn so many life skills, and to hear those kind of responses, that's the best investment we've ever made. That to me says a lot. And then when you see a home for sale, that says we've got 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a pool and a backyard court. I mean, to hear those things and how it's a really good investment, because especially on the residential side. And the commercial side is a little different, because that's kind of like a have to spend business, and they look at the efficiency, the return of investment, safety considerations, longevity, durability, maintenance. They have to look at all those things. But on the residential side, that's what got me in the business, and that's where I get the most satisfaction, is when I see that we're adding to a value of a family and creating those backyard memories.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. It seems very rewarding for sure. That's where, again, so many memories were made in kind of my own rural background with rudimentary stuff. I can't imagine like if I was a kid and had my own like branded sports court in the backyard that I could play on all day long. Oh man. So these kids have it good for sure.
And the customization too, right?
Yeah.
Because we provide resources, but we just kind of help them design their own court. And when the client participates in that, they take ownership of it, and they get pretty excited when it's custom, because I'll get a phone call from somebody and say, hey, I just played on my buddy's court, and how big is his, right? I want mine bigger, and I want mine customized. I want to put my favorite team logo on it, or I want to put my business logo on it. And when you have so many offerings of different colors and shapes and sizes, you let the people go free and just listen and to what they want to do, and then provide the product when we're all done.
I love it. Yeah, so that's great to hear, right? So like the ability to customize and do custom projects is definitely something like that. I'm assuming sets you guys apart, and definitely the most rewarding part of it is.
Well, and as a valuable resource, Max, we say let's talk about surfaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always tell clients, the perfect surface doesn't exist. It never has existed. It never will exist. But there may be a perfect surface for your application. And so if you go all through all the features and benefits and represent all the products well, let the customer choose, right? And when they make the choice, instead of you forcing something down them, they feel they have a vested interest in it, and they'll appreciate the expertise. And that's what we offer, is we just don't represent one particular product line or one particular surface. We give people options, and that's why they love us.
And so how can individuals, connect with SportsWest and explore the products and services and learn more about you guys and how to partner with you?
Well, you could easily go to sportswestconstruction.com. We have an 800 number, 800-296-5566. We have receptionists at staff, and we have account managers stretched over 5 states. If you're outside of that area, we have access to all these exceptional builders across the country. Easy to refer, real easy.
I love it. I know you have, a lot of stories. You met a lot of amazing people, built a lot of amazing projects. Any like memories that stand out to you?
Well, I having a main office in Los Angeles, we do a lot of with sports celebrities and movie star and TV celebrities. And of course, my favorite guy is Shaq. We built a court for him, and it was fun to go over to his house and do a little one-on-one, and we lowered the hoop a little bit, and I got a chance to dunk on him, and I have a great photo that I share with everybody on that one. And we also, being attached to Hollywood, we built a court for Dodgeball, the movie that came out 15, 20 years ago. That's our court. You might have seen Space Jam 2, starring LeBron James, came out last year. We did that court, the opening scenes where he's in his backyard with his family playing. We built that court, and we've done a lot of high-profile characters, both in the sports world and the Hollywood world. And it's been really fun to, if you have a chance to meet some of them. And sometimes they're just regular people, and sometimes the people you see on TV, they're not the same in person. And I've got several stories on that. It's been a real fun experience. And my childhood hero growing up was Rick Barry. I grew up in the Bay Area, and when they won the national championships in '75 against the then Washington Bullets. And now I built a court for him, and now we're email buddies. And to have a childhood hero now be a buddy that's an incredible experience.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story and helping us understand more about, how you guys are sticking out in the marketplace, what's going on, in the sports world. How are organizations, growing with you guys? How is sports growing with you? How are memories being built with you guys? It's been really insightful, and I appreciate you being here and sharing your story with our Business Ninjas podcast.
Good to be with you, Max. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Everyone go check out SportsWest Construction. They'll make those memories and dreams come true. So I appreciate you being here, Dale, and definitely learned a lot about you and your company. And I appreciate you being a part of the Business Ninjas podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of the day.